Hello and welcome. In this presentation, I will try to outline 10 quick tips that will help you create an outstanding first page of your CV. We have isolated it to one page because we believe that early impact matters in your CV. Employers are scanning through CVs quicker than ever before, perhaps, and you need to make sure you catch their attention quickly and hold on to it throughout the second or subsequent pages of your CV. My name is Horan. I run a career training company in the west of Ireland, Slí Careers. And for your free career resource pack without any catches or gimmicks, visit our website slínuacareers.com/career pack, and you'll find lots of useful resources there that you can put to good use in developing your career. Tip number one is to understand from the outset that a CV is a sales document and the product is you. And the onus falls on you to sell yourself in the CV and indeed when conducting the interview as well. And it's not a time to be bashful or shy. Many of us are modest in how we go about our business, but in a CV, as in the interview, you must put your best foot forward and understand that the employer expects you to do that. So by all means, don't go over the top and become arrogant, but don't understate or undersell yourself either. Point two is closely related. It's to understand that it's not just a dry academic list of stuff, as I said there. It's not a form you're filling out for your local authority. It's a sales document. You're entitled to craft it the way you want to craft it. Yes, you must do things like covering off any long blanks, but you can highlight what you wish to highlight. And you should ask yourself the question throughout the CV, is the information I'm currently putting on my CV in this very section helping to sell me to this job? If it is, include it and perhaps even highlight it larger than you have heretofore. And if not, you should ask yourself, should it go in at all? Why am I going to put it in? And that's the kind of decision making you must make. And I'll talk about decision making a little bit later on as well. It's not just listing things you did. It's applying it to the job in question. And that brings me to point three, which is you should step into the employer's shoes. See this process from their side. They're looking for someone to fulfill a role. Can that person be you? And how might that person be you? And really, it starts with the employer's needs. So scribble down on a piece of paper, what is the employer looking for in this role? In fact, if you take our career resource pack, which I advertised earlier on there, you'll get a form called the Employer's Key Issues document, which is exceptionally good at getting you to look at the job from the employer's perspective. Once you look at it from the employer's perspective and work back from there, you never miss the target, so to speak. But generally people start with their own attributes and their own achievements and work out from there, and that's how you miss what the employer is looking for. So by starting with the employer in mind and working back to yourself, you ensure that you don't miss the target. Point four is to make decisions. Your CV cannot go on forever. You must keep it as tight as possible. In Ireland here, there's a trend to keep it at 2 pages or less, and for you to achieve that, you must decide to leave some things out. So for the really strong stuff to be prominent, the lesser stuff, the less important attributes and achievements that you have throughout your career must be kept out of it or certainly shortened. So be decisive. It's not a novel, it's a CV. Point five is to aim for early impact. We talk about the half-page test, and I'd ask you to do this with your CV if you've got it to hand there, to fold the front page in half and read only the top half of the front page. And notice then, or look at it then from the employer's perspective. If that's all the employer were to read about you, would they be invited to bring you in for an interview? Would their curiosity be stoked in any way? And what often happens when people do this half-page test, they suddenly realise that the first half of the first page, which is the shop window of your CV, is taken up with 6 lines giving contact details. And the danger is a scanning employer will just move on because you haven't caught their attention. So go for early impact, tighten up contact details, and I'll go into this now in more detail in a moment, and realise that because this is a sales document, you must catch attention early on. A lot of us are familiar with the whole notion of the elevator pitch, where you have 30 seconds to give the rundown in your company. CVs are a bit like that. Get to the point early. You have to put in Under point 6, your name and contact details, because they have to know who you are. It sets a context for the remainder of the CV, but keep it tight. 2 lines will generally do it. Brands, as I say there, don't put contact details as their main sales features, and neither should you. So 2 lines with your name and your contact details. You don't even need to put curriculum vitae over your name, because it's a quite self-explanatory document when you receive it. So next up, we would recommend creating a personal profile, and this is 2 or 3 lines about you, who you are, what you represent, what you bring to the company in terms of value. But it's not just a random collection of your information. It must have the job in mind, and this is why it should be tweaked from job to job, because the needs of employer A will be different to the needs of employer B, and the needs of the employer are generally provided in the job spec or the job advertisement. So you need to write your profile in such a way that it speaks to the employer's needs there, again stepping into the shoes of the employer. After that, we go with, this is a sample personal profile under number 8, conscientious yard manager with a proven record of thorough, reliable work. What I'm trying to do here is use words that somebody who is employing a yard manager might be interested in seeing and might start nodding their heads to, so to speak. So a yard manager who's conscientious, that's what you need in a yard manager. You need thoroughness, reliability. You need attention to detail. And the last point there is also written with the employer in mind, the enthusiasm to fine-tune any operation in which I'm involved. So this means you won't just inherit the previous system of running this yard, you will fine-tune it and improve it as the situation evolves. And that could be very comforting for an employer who needs... Employers understand that things evolve and they want employees who can evolve with it and be innovative and lead the way. So that profile there is speaking directly to somebody who's employing a yard manager and trying to push the right buttons, so to speak. Tip number 9 would be the next thing after your personal profile, your key achievements, skills and attributes. And you may use other names or words to describe that as well, like characteristics, values perhaps, whatever is appropriate for yourself. Here I would use bullet points, 5 to 6 maximum, selecting key elements from your life, your work, your sport, your education, but always bearing in mind again what matters to the employer in this role, and what about you will get the employer curious to talk to you. So here you could highlight record of sports coaching if you're a teacher, because schools generally like to have teachers who contribute to the sports program or to the music program if you're involved in your local choir as well. That is something you might bring up if you're going for a job as a teacher. This is just summary, because these items will appear a little bit later on as well. But again, it's leading the employer into you. What we've done so far is given our personal details at the first part. Second part, our personal profile, which is a bit like the news headlines. And the next part, key achievements, skills and attributes, is a bit more detail on the news headlines. So we're leading the employer further into you, fleshing out more and more about you as you go along, but not allowing them to drift away from you by putting in random information that doesn't appeal to the employer. And then next I would go to work experience. This may change in some cases if education is more relevant for you, and relevance is more important than recent, in my view, in crafting a CV. Your work experience, yes, it should close all the gaps, but it should do more than that. It should sell you to the employer. And a tip I would recommend here is, if you've got a lot of work experience across a number of different sectors, is to create 2 work experience sections in your CV. Section 1 called relevant work experience, and in there you put in the relevant experience and give detail on that relevant experience, and then underneath that create another subsection called other work experience, and here you just list so that you close off the gaps. So again, you're making decisions about what appeals to the employer, and this is why your CV should be considered every time before you send it out. We would recommend that you send out your CV right once a day rather than wrong 10 times a day. So that's our 10 quick tips on crafting the first page of your CV. Random descriptions of a good CV there, engaging, regularly amended, and inviting further discussion of the 3 that we really are trying to get you to think about today. As I said, I'm Liam Horan, founder of Slee Nua Careers in Ireland. That's our details. and as I said, we have our career resource pack available if you visit sleanuacareers.com/career pack. Thank you very much, and best of luck to you in your career.